Hello, friends. This is Amy from Knit Collage, and I am excited to be back here with another making vlog. So this is number 7, not that high up, but these videos are really where I share all the things I have been knitting since I last checked in. And it's just a way to geek out about the yarn and the colors and the techniques and really get into the details of all of it. And it's something that I'm really passionate about. Knitting is my life now and I just adore it. So I want to go through all the things that I've been knitting. I haven't made a ton of progress since we last checked in, but I think that's also important to show because sometimes it is not all smooth sailing. So with that, I'm going to start with the sweater I was working on last time. I'm not much further than I was a month ago. So this is my Bouquet Sweater by Junko Okamoto. I love it. And if you watched last time, you know I was debating whether I wanted to rip because there was a slight dye lot issue between the green main color yarn. So you could see a line where I changed skeins. So I decided to actually go ahead and rip it. It was bothering me a little bit and there were actually a bunch of other things happening. So I changed techniques midway through that sweater from carrying my contrast yarn in the color work to the ladder back jacquard technique. And this changed the gauge and the tension a little bit. So, and I'm going to go into why that is, but I wasn't really happy with that issue too. So there were these two major issues going on. I had run out of the contrast color, so I needed another skein of that. When I switched techniques, it used more of this yarn than the pattern calls for. So there were a lot of problems and it was painful because this sweater, it's the hardest thing I've ever knit and it's super time consuming. So it was painful to rip. It actually took a while to rip it, but I'm so glad I did because I just think, I just really like the results. It's not bothering me having this little subtle line in dye lots. You can see a lot of variation in the skeins, but I've decided to alternate them the entire way through with all the main colors. So to give you an example, these are the two main color skeins. They look similar, and this yarn is by Creo. I think I'm saying that right. It's Kreao, I believe. I'll make sure to note it in the description in this video. I couldn't tell the dye lot changes much when I looked at the yarn, and I think it's safe to say I'm a novice at dye lots because I'm not an indie dyer, I'm a hand spinner, and I don't have to worry that much about dye lot issues. So it's not something I think about when I knit as much. Well, I won't anymore. I will think about it from now on. But all that to say, I couldn't really tell a difference in skeins, but there was a subtle difference. One was more blue and one was more white. And so what I decided to do is rip and then go back and alternate one round, one main color, one skein, one round, the next skein, so that it would all blend together really seamlessly. And when I finished one skein, I simply started another and alternated that in. So that is good. That is working, and I'm really happy about it. So the next thing is when I went to rip, I decided that I was going to try a new color work technique. And traditionally, the way I've been knitting color work is I actually, I hold the yarn in my left hand. I'm a continental knitter. And when I go to knit the main color, I'm knitting it, holding it in my left hand. And when I need to knit the contrast color, I drop it from my left hand, pick it up, and then knit it from my left hand. So always holding the working yarn in my left hand. So I thought, if I really want to try to speed up this knitting process, because this whole sweater is color work, the whole entire thing is color work except like the sleeves and the neck and the bottom rib, I should try holding the yarn in two hands. So contrast color in my right hand, main color in my left hand. So I started to knit this way. I had help from my friend Jackie at Caddy Jack's Knit, so I need to give her a big shout out. She also knit this, and she gave me a little guidance on how to hold the yarn, how she does. That technique has worked well for me. And I am in the swing of it. I am by no means an expert. I'm very much a beginner at this. And my gauge has some issues with working this new technique right now. But I'm so excited to be able to speed up my color work now, because I'll be able to never have to put the yarn down and pick it up again. I can simply knit with 2 strands from 2 hands. So this is pretty life-changing for me, and I'm curious to know how you do color work. People I talk to seem to go both ways. They drop it or they do what I am now doing. You can see, I think you can kind of tell at the top that my tension and gauge on the pink, which is the contrast color, is a little bit tighter than the green. So this is by no means perfect. I think the actual outcome would have been better if I had gone back to my old technique of just holding the yarn in my left hand in terms of tension and gauge. But I really wanted to push myself to try this new technique for the future, because I want to knit more colorwork sweaters faster using working yarn in both hands. So it was like an investment in the future for this sweater. And this sweater is really just for myself. So it's okay if it's not perfect. But I did have to fix that dye-lot issue. So that is the one big technique change I made when I started this over again. The other thing is I did that ladder back jacquard technique the entire way through. So I'm going to show you what that looks like on the back here of the sweater. So first of all, this is called the ladder back jacquard technique. I watched a tutorial on Fruity Knitting, episode 78, that I would highly recommend, around minute 13, where you can learn how to do this. The idea is that you are creating a hidden stitch, and I went through this in my last video a little bit, but you're creating a hidden stitch, and then you're creating almost like a duplicate knitted fabric in the back of your work. So instead of carrying your contrast yarn along these long areas where you don't have to knit with it, you are creating a hidden stitch and knitting it. And this helps a ton with, I think, the puckering that can happen when you just carry a yarn, because when you just hold a yarn against a knitted fabric, it doesn't have any stretch in the back. So that can create a lot of puckering. But when you knit it, it's gonna create a similar fabric to what you're knitting on the right side, right? Does that make sense? So you can see there are all these areas, long areas where you don't knit any contrast yarn. And I know it does look a little puckery here. It's not blocked, and I'm very confident it's going to block out just fine. But if I look on the back side, I can see I have this big knitted piece where it's the ladder back jacquard. It's like a separate knitted fabric. So I think that technique has been really, really cool to learn and fun to learn, in a fantastic way to deal with this pattern where long areas without any contrast color are required. So you have to carry the yarn in the back, or you have to do this technique. So I'd highly recommend that. And I have tried it on. It fits pretty well. It's a one size sweater, which I'm not usually a big fan of, because we all know one size doesn't fit all at all. So I don't really know how this is going to turn out. My row gauge is over. Usually when I knit, my row gauge is over. So I may be shortening the second graph to be shorter. I'm not quite sure yet. I may make some modifications, but I am in the middle of working on fall for Knit Collage, like with full steam. So I don't have a ton of time to work on this. So this may not be done for some time, even though I've switched to the faster technique of knitting with both yarns at the same time. It still takes a really long time to do all over color work. So it's still gonna take me some time, but I'm so excited about it. And the construction is so cool because you have one repeat on each shoulder blade and one repeat in the center front. So it's just a really cool construction. I'm excited about it. I'm really, really excited about it. So that is my bouquet sweater. And I'm sure when I finish, I will be showing you more of that. Now, I'm going to move on to some of the other things I've been knitting, but I want to take a minute to talk about my t-shirt, which is by Gigi of Gigi Made It. So this is her Stand in the Gap slogan she coined that she has been telling us about and getting the knitting community to rally around throughout the, I would say, like the Black Lives Matter movement, but it's really been more since George Floyd's death. And I just love that she's creating these beautiful things that I'm styling it with my fall knitwear, but that also show that I stand with her and that I stand with the Black community and that their lives do matter. It's really awesome. And just to give her one more shout out, she has been an awesome voice throughout this. If you are looking to learn, grow, become more of a advocate and anti-racist within your own life and community, she has been a voice to follow, an array of sunshine throughout the past, I think it's been a month or so since all of this happened and the protests. And so I would just give her a big shout out and encourage you to go follow her on YouTube or Instagram, where she shares a lot. And it's really the Instagram account right now that I check every time I log in. She is so important in this conversation that's happening. Okay, so enough said about that. Let's dive into some more things I've been knitting since we last talked. Okay, so I've got one fall sweater that I have worked on. This is by Laurel Gervitz, who we work with a lot here at Knit Collage. I'm really excited about this. This is kind of an update to our pixelated sweater, but a different motif. And I have done this really funky bell sleeve, which I am so into. I think you gotta see it on. It's not that extreme. And we're gonna have another sleeve option too. So just sort of a more normal sleeve option. But I really love this. This is a new Spun Cloud color. I'm super into mint, and it's just really cute on and has this kind of mountain ski yet flower girl kind of look. So I'm really into this sweater for fall. Very easy to knit, not much yarn. So I'm really, 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 really excited about that. Okay, so what else have I been knitting? Well, I'm going to show you this. Two things over here. So I did knit this really cute little hat recently. This is going to get a pom-pom. This is in our new Dreamland yarn, which has all these things spun into it. Really, really cute. This hat pattern is called the Homeward Bound hat. It's a free pattern on our site. Works really well with a skein of Dreamland yarn. I just really love it. I thought it'd be cute for a fall shoot. I'm going to add one of those faux fur pom-poms we have on our site, which I think really make all of our hats look a lot more expensive. They look fancier, I think. They add a really nice touch, and I do like them over a yarn pom-pom right now. That could change in a month's time, but I do like that right now a lot. So I've also been working on some sweaters and ideas loosely based on a Free People sweater that came out a year ago. They used our Dreamland yarn and color boho dance. It's this beautiful pullover. And so I've been working on a pattern for them, but also for us, that is a vest and a cardi. So this has no ends woven in, but hopefully you'll get the idea. This is the color for the roses. So you can't really see it yet. It's unblocked. It's got ends crazy. It's very oversized. It's really all about the yarn, and it's really all about the yarn. It's going to be a fantastic beginner knit. It's just going to be an easy one, that where you get to show off this crazy hand spun yarn with all the things spun into it, an easy wear. I actually really like it as a vest, although as a cardigan, it's fantastic too. So I want to add in a picture of one that I knit, which I'm really into. I've already sent it off to be tech edited, all those things. So it's so cute. It's in what colors? I think it's Court and Spark and Song to a Seagull. I alternated those colors. And this one, I'm just using the colorway for the roses. So these are patterns that are all going to come in the fall. So after September, really excited about this because I don't have many sweaters in this yarn. it's so special and it's so novelty. It can be hard to think of things to do in this yarn. So I like this easy body a lot. So I'm really excited to get those ends woven in and just block it, take it to the next level. Okay, so this is a stocking I'm also working on for Free People. Now, I've got a lot of double pointed needles in here, so you're gonna have to bear with me. I don't want them to fall, but it's looking pretty cute. This pattern is our Wanderlust stocking pattern. I have used 2 strands of Dreamland in colorway Chelsea Morning held together to meet the gauge of our super, super chunky Wanderlust yarn. So this, I think it's looking really cute. I think it's gonna look cuter when I like add a little stuffing to it. I will say that this pattern calls for double pointed needles. It's a hard one to knit magic loop, and double pointed needles in a large size are kind of hard to come by. So I may come up with a tutorial for this later on. I'm gonna try and figure out if we can start selling them on our site. Let me know if you're interested in maybe a tutorial around the holidays or Thanksgiving or something like that. But really do love this stocking. It's super, super cute, knit from the bottom up. Okay, so that is that. Now, this is another hat that's in the works, and I do love this. This is our new daisy chain yarn. It's the daisy chain beanie. This was sold on Free People's website last year. I just had a call with the buyers a couple days ago, and they said it was their best-selling hat. So that made me so happy. So it's like one skein and a little bit. I know that's annoying, but it has this big rib brim that you fold over. So if you wanted to do it one skein, you certainly could. You would just reduce the brim and you would be all set. But I really love this hat. It takes only about an hour and a half to knit. So it's a fantastic one for me if I'm editing a podcast or, doing anything with my kids where I actually can't do a graph like the bouquet, like watching them in the pool or, something like that. So that's that. The last thing I want to share is this sweater that is going to be next on my needle. So I've got this new spun cloud color, and I've got a bag of mini skein kits, and I'm going to be making a long sleeve Kaleidoscope sweater. So the Kaleidoscope sweater is one of our, I would call it like one of our signature designs now. It's been around for almost a year, and it's where you just combine all the yarns and all the colors together. And it's very happy. It's all about creative self-expression. What do you feel? Are you getting in the flow? How you knit it? Like, what's coming out of you on your needles from inside you? That's sort of the idea behind it. So I have all of these mini skein kits that I took apart for something else, but have not used, did not end up using them. And so I will be using them along with the blue that you see over here. So it's gonna be like this in a Kaleidoscope sweater. I'm really excited about that. I've knit it 5 or 6 times, so this will be very, very, very quick for me. So I'm really excited to actually get started on that. I'm probably gonna leave my bouquet hanging as I get this one going in the next week. All right, so at Knit Collage, we have more yarn, got a little more yarn, and I'm working on a few really fun kits for the first couple weeks in August. So I want to show you them. I've got the samples here, but the pictures are going to be a little bit better. I think it's hard to show a big sweater on YouTube like this, but let's give it a go. So this is our Cozy Thoughts sweater. It's a color work coat, and I know it's hard to imagine knitting something very big and heavy at this stage. It's the middle of the summer, but early fall is the best time to wear a big sweater coat. Am I right? You don't need a big jacket yet. You don't need a winter jacket, but this will work just fine. So this pattern was originally part of our fall knit along. I believe it was 2018. It could have been 17. And the way that I originally designed the pattern was bottom up and seamed. And there were a lot of ends. We felt that the raglan didn't fit as well as it could have. This is the original, which just didn't fit quite as well. I don't know if you guys can see this, but I love these colors. These colors are incredible. This is the oatmeal combination. I really love this one. So what Laurel and I decided to do was to rework this pattern from the top down, seamless, and that has been a huge game changer, and really focus on the fit. So we have done that. We have tested it now. We've increased our size range. Every single size has been tested carefully. So it just basically got an upgrade, and I feel so terribly that that first pattern wasn't perfect the way it was when we released it way back. And the truth of the matter is that I have just evolved so much in the knowledge of how patterns should fit, the size, inclusivity, and how much more awesome it is to knit something seamless with less ends to weave in. So all of these factors, my learning, have led to updating and doing this pattern in a much better way. So that's sort of where we're coming from with this one. And I'm just so thrilled to release it. It is absolutely beautiful. I have one that I knit in the ink color in Spun Cloud, and it's just beautiful. Even in the old way, I did the seamed one way back. It's still just a complete showstopper. It's gorgeous. And then the other fun kit, so we're going to have kits for that coming in, I think, the first 2 weeks of August. So we're going to put together some fun color combinations. I'm really excited about that. And then we will have another kit happening in conjunction with One Dog Wolf. You probably know her, Chiwe. She is a crocheter. She does knit. She knit the pixelated, but she is a crochet designer, and she has used our yarn in one of her patterns called the Solitude Blanket pattern. And it is a giant granny square. There's all these fun stitches, that little bobble and open crochet stitches, but it is a granny square. It's a riff on a granny square. It's beautiful, and it's just giant on a big hook. And so we're going to be doing kits with that for her pattern release. So I'm really excited about that. We don't have a ton of crochet patterns at Knit Collage. I don't crochet a ton, so that's probably why I'm embarrassed to say it. It uses more yarn, so that can be tricky. That said, I think this pattern is 5 skeins, so it's not insane. Like some blankets on our website are 12 skeins, which is really a lot. So it's not insane, and it really is such a show-stopping piece for your house, for a gift. It's just beautiful. And I imagine it would go by really quickly too. So those are the 2 things to look out for. If you're on our email list, you'll be the first to know about them. I'm really excited to release those. And I think we will be releasing our new fall yarns around the same time as the crochet blanket, because we have made a sample in the new colorway. So I want to be able to show that and let you guys order that one too. So that is what's happening here at Knit Collage. All the things, the sweaters I showed you are in the running for the knit along. We always do a vote on what you like best, the popular vote of what styles you like best for the knit along. So those 2 will be in the running, but I have at least 4 or 5 others that are going to be in the running too. So I can't wait to share more about that. Thank you so much. I am excited. I hope next time I will be done my bouquet and moving on to some of the other stash I showed you a few episodes ago that I got from Vogue Knitting Live back in January. I haven't really worked on any of those yet. So I hope to get to those soon. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.